Hi guys, hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Lola. If you've been here before, then welcome back. If you've never been here, then welcome to my channel. I make videos based on beauty, business, and permanent makeup, and I'm so happy to see you here. Today's video is going to be all about showing you how to do a cover-up. I'm going to be talking about the most common cover-up that we usually have to do in permanent makeup, which is faded red, orange, pinkish eyebrows, and I hope you're excited for that just as much as I am. Before I start, I do want to just quickly mention that I do have online training. As you can tell from this video, I do love teaching and I love to pass on my information. I teach both ombre powder and microblading, and each course will have over 70 lessons with a visual and a video component. I go over everything that you'll need to know. You can get it with or without a kit. You'll have the opportunity to watch 2 live procedures on top of all the practice videos that we have. It'll feel like I'm with you every step of the way. You'll have my full help and support during the course and after the course as well. And I have hundreds of happy students who are thriving and working successfully just off of the online training alone. So don't think it's not going to be a one-on-one. It's actually a really extended one-on-one with me. So if you're interested, please check the link in my description box below, and let's get started with our cover up. So for today's video, I'm going to be talking about the most common cover up that we usually have to do, which is eyebrows that have faded to be pink, orange, red. The reason why we see this so commonly is because a lot of pigments are usually too warm for the client's skin undertone, so we end up resulting with a lot of people having pink, red, orange tone eyebrows years down the road after having had permanent makeup, most commonly microblading as well. And I always get the question as to how you can cover them up. The most important thing is that the cover up cannot be of a shape that the client is not willing to go thicker than. So if your client has this shape in particular, for example, and she does not want to go any thicker, then it's going to be nearly impossible to do this cover up alone and to blend it in with our new color. So always keep in mind that warning your clients that you will have to go thicker than the current eyebrows is the most important thing, because otherwise it can be really hard to blend in with our new color. Second thing is that when you're doing a cover up, it is highly advisable that you only do ombre powder over a cover up, because doing microblading typically has gaps between hair strokes to allow those gaps to widen and heal and look like hair strokes when they heal. So this is why we only ever cover up any eyebrow using ombre powder and a machine with pixelation, as opposed to the microblading procedure. So just keep that in mind, that we do not do microblading cover-ups. We always use ombre powder. So in this scenario, I'm going to be going over just the red, and I'm only going to get into the color theory of covering up a red and canceling out a red, because if I go into all the colors, then it can be a really long video. So to keep it short and simple, I'm just going to show you how I'm going to cover up this red / pink eyebrow. So first thing you have to know based on the color wheel is to cancel out a red, you need to have a green or neutral based pigment to cancel out the tones of the red. For us to be able to do this, first thing we're going to do is cancel out the red, then apply our new color. Without canceling out a red that's as potent as this, it will later on show up after your first procedure, or years down the line this red will poke through again. So we need to effectively cancel out these red tones and then go in with our original brown color. Just keep in mind that your new shape to do a cover up has to be thicker than the current shape you're covering up. Okay, now moving on to the procedure, I'm going to be working with my permanent makeup machine, which is a wireless 3-setting speed and adjustable needle length machine. I will be working with this using 3P and a 1P cartridge. Both of these items are available on my shop. I'm also going to have a crystal cup holder with a disposable pigment cup in here, so I can show you guys how to color correct first. Basic color theory is that to cancel out a red, directly across on the color wheel is the color green. So we're going to be using anything that has a base of a green or is a neutralizer itself, aka a green base color, to cancel out red in the first place, to be able to achieve this, to be able to achieve canceling out these red tones. And to do that, I'm just going to get a pigment like that. You could see how the pigment here, for example, has traces of green. You could see it has a more neutral base as opposed to a warm or a cool base. So I'm just going to be using this to cancel out my color first. Once I've used this to cancel out the red, then I'm going to go ahead and fill in the rest of the brow with the desired brown that I have. First things first, what you want to do is outline your shape, obviously, just like you would with a normal eyebrow procedure of ombre. You want to create an outline of your new shape, remembering again that your new shape has to be slightly thicker. I'm going to go ahead and place a needle in here. I'm going to go in with my 1R. Now, using your 1R, we're going to start at the speed 3, and we're just going to be doing the outline of this new shape. The white stencil will be the new shape for this particular cover up. I'm going to go ahead and dip it into some brown pigment. Okay, let's start outlining. That's my bottom outline. I'm going to go ahead and do my top outline now. All right, So as you can see, we have our outline for a shape, or a new shape that is. And if you want a more in-depth tutorial on how I do an outline, how to create an outline in general, then please go watch my previous video on ombre powder. That will give you a more detailed description of what we've just done. Moving on to the color correction. Now that I've secured my shape, I'm now going to focus on canceling out these red tones using that green base pigment that I showed you earlier. To clean off the existing brown color that you just used for your outline, you can just simply take a baby wipe, kind of bunched up so you don't poke yourself, and get rid of whatever's in the cartridge just gently. Try not to get the lint stuck in your needle. And I usually do this until nothing else comes out. You can obviously just switch out to a new 1R, but for the sake of this video, as it is just a practice, I'm going to show you how to get rid of that color. Now we're done. I'm going to be working with a 1R, and I'm going to go ahead and dip it into this green base pigment we have. When you're working with a green base pigment or a neutralizer, you only want to go over the section that is red. Don't do the rest of the eyebrow, because we're just trying to cover and neutralize the color that we're canceling out, which in this case is this pinkish reddish tone. And using your 1R, you're going to go ahead and start going over this red very lightly in the front. We're doing light pixelation here. Not too much pressure, just to get the color corrected. Very light pressure, guys. Working on speed 3 here, which is the slowest speed. I'm gonna go ahead and now smear this pigment as much as I can to allow it to soak. Typically, I will leave this on a real client on for like a minute or so. Just allow the skin to soak up as much as possible. I'm gonna go ahead and wipe it off. A little bit of that red pigment has toned down, so we're gonna go back in. I think it's worth mentioning that typically with my clients, I normally won't accept eyebrows that are usually this red and this potent, because it can be a little more tricky to guarantee any type of results in terms of a cover up. So I do suggest clients to wait until that color has lightened up a lot, in which case, let's say the red is only like 10% or 20% visible, then you can actually even just altogether skip this step and just go into your intended brown, medium brown, dark brown, whichever one you choose. That will be enough to effectively cover up that red if it's 10 to 20% there or left still. But if we're talking and looking at something that's obviously this potent, you're probably gonna need to use a neutralizer or have to use a neutralizer, because otherwise you won't be able to cover it up. All right, so that's after 2 little passes. Again, I'm using very light pressure here, so I'm gonna go ahead and do one more. You can do this appointment on its own and have your client heal and come back to you for the actual color, or you can do it in one appointment, all depending on how dark this red is and how much you can achieve in one appointment in terms of canceling out these tones. I typically, like I said, don't take on crazy red anyway. I like to do everything in one sitting, if I am even using a neutralizer. You can even just do the one-way kick as opposed to a pendulum when you're covering a small space like this. Okay, let's give this a wipe. So you can see now that the color is starting to slowly kind of go away from the red. It's not as red anymore. You can see the red tones being neutralized to the best of our abilities. I'm going to do one last round, very light pressure, and just focusing on some of the areas that I see the most before we move on to our actual brown. Very light pressure. You don't want to overwork the skin during this process, because remember, you are going to go in with another color and a few passes after this. So you do want it to still be healthy and not overworked. We'll let that sit one final time before we move on to our brown, okay? Beautiful. So now you can see we've color corrected the red as much as possible. I gave you this example in particular because sometimes microblading hair strokes will be the hardest ones to pinpoint and cancel out. So we'll do the area as a general, and now we're gonna go ahead and cover this entire eyebrow up using our intended dark brown. Now I'm gonna switch out to a 3R because I do want it to cover more effectively. I'm going to go ahead and just pop in this 3R. Again, working at speed 3. Start dipping into my dark brown now. So I have my dark brown in here. I'm gonna start working, because we're working on this eyebrow, we're gonna start from the front and work our way in. For the fronts, we always do a one-way kick, so we're gonna start with that. You carry this on like an actual normal eyebrow appointment, normal ombre appointment, but you are obviously going to be more mindful of the parts that are red and perhaps work on them slightly more to blend them in with the rest of the fresh skin that you're about to color. Switching to a pendulum. Just going over it one more time to make sure that area is nicely covered. It's really important to ask that clients send you photos if they do have previous work done, because you never know. I've had many clients tell me it's very light and I've never required pictures in the past, and next thing you know they show up with the most difficult color to color correct. I am forced to either do it because I don't want to turn them away at that point, and they're usually very hopeful that you do something for them, or I end up having to cancel because I just tell them to wait, or it's just not possible to cover up at that time. So it can be a bit of a frustration if you don't tell your clients to send you a notice or photos prior to their appointment if they do have previous work done. So always require them. So that's after one pass of our dark brown. I just want to say that if you are doing a cover up, it is really, really important that you tell your clients you cannot go lighter than a medium, even a medium dark brown, like a mix of a medium and a dark brown together when you're doing a cover up, because you do need the color to have the strength to cover over previous pigments. If it's too light, like a light brown or, you know, similar to a blonde color, it's just not going to be enough to do its job. You're better off either waiting or lasering it off before you want to do that kind of color. We're going to go into our second pass. Before I go into my second pass, I'm gonna go over this middle red section first and then do the whole eyebrow from the beginning again. So starting from here, I will begin to just go over the red with my dark brown so I can increase the color here. And now we'll start from the beginning. So now that we've done our second pass, we're gonna go ahead and give this a little bit of a smear wipe. You can see that the red is slowly getting lesser and lesser, and again, this is a case that I've shown you guys where the red is really, really strong, but I am showing you that it's possible slowly and carefully to diminish this color. Now we're gonna go on to our third pass. I'm again going to go over the red parts more first. And keep in mind that your pressure should be very, very light doing any of these passes, because you do not want to overwork the skin. Pressure should be lighter than even on a balloon. Let's start the rest of the eyebrow. Smearing this pigment again. Okay, so now you can see that our red color has diminished to about, I would say, 10% left. Keeping in mind that this color, the red color, will further cool down as this pigment kind of gets accepted into the skin throughout the healing. Severe situations of red, like we worked on, can be impossible sometimes to cover it all, but for the most part, you can get to as much as you can, see how it heals, and then on the second touch appointment, if you feel like you need to do the same amount of work or a little bit less, then you can assess again, because oftentimes at the time that you're healed with the neutralizer and the dark brown in combination, this red will cool down further than how you see it here. I'm just going to make some few touch-ups and then we are done. Going in with very, very light pressure to just simply coat the skin with more pigment. Now we're just going to smear this pigment on it one last time, our dark brown. And done. As you guys can see, it has been 99% diminished. I can still see some of the little red sticking through, poking through, but hey, like I said earlier, we're gonna see how this bad boy heals. I think in this situation, if I was the client and my artist was able to cover up majority of the red for me and, you know, be able to give me a new shape and not me having to focus on the red 24/7, I think I would be pretty happy with this. But then again, you must always warn your clients with doing any cover-up, especially dark cover-ups like this, that you are pretty much limited as to how much you can do to cancel out any of these tones, how much work you are able to fit into one appointment. Like I said earlier, sometimes you have to send them off even just after the neutralizing and have them come back for the actual color. Just always let them know that you are limited to how much work you can do and what percentage of that color you can eliminate or color correct. But I'm sure in most cases, at least for myself, most clients are thankful to have even improved it just by a little bit, let alone a lot like this. Most of the time they're understanding of that. However, please always let your clients know that your abilities are limited during cover-ups. What I would do for this particular client, if it was a real client, is I would have her come back during the touch-up, assess how much of that red actually canceled out, color correct again if I need to prior to doing my dark brown, and then going with the dark brown again. But if I see that by the time she comes back, it is almost, you know, like 90% gone, the red part, then I would just go in with my dark brown for the second appointment as well, eliminating that first step that we did earlier with the green-based pigment. Every situation of a cover-up is based on the client's current eyebrows and the color that they're coming in with, so each appointment will need its own plan of action. Here's a closer look for you to see what we were able to do and how we were able to cover up that awful red, which is fairly common in our industry within clients. Okay guys, thank you so much for watching my video today. I hope I was able to help you with the color correction process. I hope that I was able to teach you something. If you did like this video and if you did find this informative, please hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe for more videos coming up very soon. Please leave any comments or questions down below and I'll try to help you out as much as I can. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for tuning in, and just one last reminder that our online courses, the link for that will be in the description box below, so check that out. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. Love you. Mwah. Bye.